Vote for me. I will give you X, Y, and Z. Don't worry about the cost. That's what most politicians say these days. Before we get the answer to that, though, please subscribe and PayPal. Keep us on the air. Jay Goldberg is with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. He joins me right now because I want to, you are dealing with the finances of it, but from my point of view, the politics, for generations, people out there saying, particularly the NDP, vote for me, I will give you this. And a lot of people do. And of course, that means bigger government for more services, more handouts, but that costs an awful lot more. Is this like this infinity circle?
It is. We now have 40% more bureaucrats working for the federal government than we did in 2015. Imagine what that is costing. The federal government today is spending well over $100 billion more per year than they were when they came to power in 2015. Government has...
Sorry, what was that? $100 billion?
They're spending annually more than $100 billion more than they did when they came into office. It's just astounding.
But we have nothing to show for that because aside from the Auditor General and the app, I mean, it's not as though we have more ships or more planes or more subways or more trains.
What we have to show for it is more debt. You know, next year we're going to be spending more on debt interest than the federal government is going to transfer to the provinces on health care. That's the state we're in right now because of the reckless overspending we've seen for so many years and the doubling of our national debt.
But what is the overspending on? As I put it to you again, it's not as though we have new trains or trains that run on time across the country or other services. I mean, even the ferries that go out in the maritime provinces are breaking down. Like, what's that money being spent on?
We really don't know. It's a lot of money, extra money being spent everywhere with very little accountability and very little thought toward how is this going to impact Canadians. So right now in Ontario, we have 400,000 people who are working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. We have 50% of Canadians say they're $200 away from not being able to pay their bills. And look, if the government didn't increase spending by more than $100 billion a year, we could have a lot more money back in the pockets of Canadians, and maybe some of those folks wouldn't need the second job or be so close to bankruptcy.
Well, you're saying many Canadians have 2 jobs, and you're absolutely right, but many Canadians in the civil service, the federal civil service, actually have half a job because, I'm not going to go into work, I'm going to work from home. And it's a proven fact now that many who work from home are working like a half day.
Well, look, when you have 40% more people working for the federal government than you did in 2015, what are they all doing? What are they all doing? It's a legitimate question. You mentioned we don't have all these extra things despite all the extra spending. So what are all these folks doing? It's a legitimate question. And if we could cut down the cost of that bureaucracy, we could really cut the deficit and start to get back to balance.
Do you think that people are going to be fooled again by the Liberals, the Justin Liberals, saying, vote for us, we'll make life better?
Well, I think folks now know it's not going to be better because it's costing them a fortune.
Jay Goldberg, thank you very much. 3 minutes, more money. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.